When my father died in January 2018, I inherited his record collection. It wasn't the world's biggest collection of LPs, pretty modest in fact, but for me it was something of profound sentimental value. Each record was a precious musical memory from my childhood years, when we would all crowd around Dad's hi-fi system to take in musical delights that ranged from Marty Robbins to Nat King Cole to even the Shadows. The record player was a sacred device in our family home, to the point that us kids were under strict instructions never to touch the LPs or Dad's prized record player when he wasn't around. Not that this stopped us from clandestinely listening to our favourite vinyl from Dad's collection when he wasn't home. My particular favourite was Frankie Lane's Hellbent for Leather, or even leaving the odd scratch on a record that was later angrily discovered by my father when he next went to listen to one of his favourite LPs. Ever since the death of my dad, I'd been telling my kids that we would eventually be getting around to getting our own record player so that I could share with them the same LPs that my father had introduced me and my sister and brothers to when we were their age. Well, a couple of months ago, I finally got around to purchasing that brand new record player. It's nothing flash. In fact, it's a pretty simple all-in-one CD, Bluetooth radio, LP and cassette system. Yes, you did hear that right. It's a brand new system that also plays cassettes. It has a couple of small and tinny speakers at the front, and it would sound pretty average if it wasn't for the fact that I have it connected to a separate amplifier and speakers that massively improve the listening experience. Even then, the speakers are old and the amp that I'm using is something pretty basic that my wife and I brought second hand when we first got married 15 years ago. But that's the thing. Even though this is about as far as you can get from an expensive and finely tuned hi-fi system, the record playing experience is still something pretty special in our house. And therein lies the great wisdom of the record player. It's a device and an associated musical medium that offers something profoundly important that has been lost from the modern musical listening experience. Firstly, unlike MP3s, records are a tangible thing that actually exist in the real world and which you have to first physically interact with in order to enjoy the music that they have to offer. There is something really special and unique about a record. Some of the better quality pressings in my dad's collection have a heft and a feel to them that connects you with the craftsmanship of the artist and their music in a profoundly different way, and that's all before you have even put the LP on the turntable and dropped the needle into place to play the music. For my money, no other musical storage medium even comes close if you're looking for a more corporeal musical listening experience. Then there's the fact that apart from pretty rare occasions, you don't just put an album on to listen to only one track. The record is a medium that unapologetically demands that we engage with every song that the artist has taken the time and effort to write and record for our listening pleasure. It does everything in its power to give full voice to the artist just by virtue of the manner in which it exists in the world and the technological demands it makes of us, the listening subjects. In a nutshell, it's really inconvenient to play single tracks from a record. You really are committing yourself to everything on that LP, or at least most of what's on one side of the LP if your favourite track is not the first one on that side of the record. And then there's the really important fact that, unlike the modern MP3, you can't just skip through tracks at will. I enjoy the convenience of being able to listen to MP3 technology when I travel or when I'm working out, but with the introduction of the record player to our family home, it quickly became evident to me that I had developed the atrocious habit of treating musical artistry with a mindless consumerism that was leaving me poorer as a result. I realised that because of the new technology, I was hardly listening to entire albums anymore, and that even when it came to the artists and the songs that I really liked, merely because of the nature of MP3s and MP3 players, I was still regularly skipping to the next track before the previous one had even come to an end. I would also play one track over and over and over again on repeat, like some sort of oral vampire, sucking the life from a hapless musical victim until there was nothing left to gorge on. They say that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and there's nothing like a record player to reinforce that important truth when it comes to your favourite songs, because there is no automatic or straightforward way of allowing you to endlessly repeat the same track over and over and over again. The other thing about LPs in our house is that the listening experience is usually a communal one. When you put on an LP, you know that you're in it for at least a whole side of songs, and so it's not uncommon to ask everyone else who happens to be present in the room as well what they feel like listening to right now, thus drawing them into a shared musical experience with you. The wisdom of the record player is found in the fact that it draws us into a more patient, often more communal, and definitely less objectified musical listening experience. When you listen to an MP3, the technology reduces the musical artistry to a mere object that you can manipulate, almost at will, for your own personal self-gratification. But vinyl is a much classier lady, and she doesn't let you use and abuse her on a whim. Instead, she demands that you commit yourself fully to the artistry and craftsmanship of the music that you are listening to. Record players and LPs are a pathway to virtue, if for no other reason than the fact that they require far more patience to use than MP3s and digital players do. In fact, they change the very nature of the way you encounter music, from one of mere convenience, consumerism, and self-gratification, where your personal urges are more important than even the music itself, to one where you are far more inclined to commune with the artistry and the artist who has created it. You could even say that there is a certain, albeit small, amount of suffering and dying to self that is required of us when we listen to LPs on a record player that virtual listening technologies just don't demand of us. In a culture that is destroying itself in mindless consumerism and hedonistic pleasure-seeking, even the smallest moments which cause us to break free of this destructive cycle of instant self-gratification and which call us to live, even if only briefly, a life of self-regulation through virtue is actually a profoundly valuable and important thing. And that, my friends, is the great wisdom of the record player. If you've enjoyed this content, please like, share and subscribe, and consider financially supporting the channel by using the links below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Left Foot Media.